Hello, this is Crystal Racing here with the best ever hot takes by the 1997 World Champion Jacques Villeneuve. Of course, he has more wins than his dad, but he's not as much as a legend as his dad. But I'm just going to go through some of the wackiest things he's ever said. Hulkenberg is a Rosberg apostrophe. The hype around Fernando Alonso's Indy 500 debut in 2017 was off the charts. During Monaco, a number of drivers said what they thought of his decision to go and race at Indy. Some were supportive, others didn't see it, especially since he was missing a Grand Prix to do it. One of them was Nico Hulkenberg, who said it was dangerous and that he couldn't understand why Alonso had gone in with such little testing. Jacques Villeneuve, on the other hand, who has raced in sports car, NASCAR, F1, IndyCar, etc., took the opportunity to slam two drivers with one comment. He said, "It sounds like excuses. I think there are two classes of driver. You are either an Alonso or you're a Rosberg, and Nico Hulkenberg is a Rosberg. What a burn that was." Second hot take, Lance Stroll would be faster with a slower teammate. Despite the odd impressive performance during 2017, Lance Stroll's debut season was actually pretty poor as he qualified badly and then raced even worse. Of course, Lance Stroll did score 40 points to Felipe Massa's 43 points, but of course 15 of those 40 points came from that Baku podium. But instead of offering Lance some words of encouragement, Jacques criticised Lance heavily, even after he scored his first points in the 2017 calendar, and he called him one of the worst rookies in F1 history. And then after Brazil, he criticised him further when Lance finished last after puncturing his tyre and got lapped by Felipe Massa. Villeneuve felt his overall performance would be improved if he had a slower teammate. Quote, "He needs to figure something out. Maybe a new teammate would be helpful. A slower teammate. He needs to find a way." Sergei Sorokin retired Massa the following year, and Stroll did all right, but then of course that was probably Sergei Sorokin making him look cold. And then of course next up was how bad the 1998 rules were. Of course, as we all know, there's nothing unusual about drivers complaining about the current state of F1. But in 97, they introduced new rules for 98 where groove tyres came in and the cars became narrower and slower with smaller wings. And Jack said, "These new regulations are just a joke. To run at these tyres is just ridiculous. It takes all the precision out of driving and the racing as well as the fun, and it was just a stupid idea." The FIA wasn't a fan of him speaking against the sport and remarkably made him attend a World Motorsport Council meeting in Paris to explain himself where he was threatened with being suspended. Hitting Hamilton meant Raikkonen got a partial punishment. Actually, Jacques Villeneuve is correct. Of course, at last year's 2018 British Grand Prix, Kimi Raikkonen was given a 10-second penalty for hitting Hamilton, whilst Sebastian Vettel only got a 5-second penalty for a similar incident with Bottas at the French Grand Prix a few races earlier. As well as lamenting the need for stewards to get involved with mistakes, Villeneuve claimed Raikkonen's penalty was harsher than usual because of who he hit. Quote, "They decided it's Lewis. We're in the UK. He's fine for the championship. That's worth 10 seconds. If there had been Bottas, it would have been 5 seconds. That's the thing." And Jacques Villeneuve is actually right. Next up, disabled drivers shouldn't be in F1. He's actually right about this one, but not so much the disabled part, but more the fact that, I'm going to be very sorry to say this, Kubica fans, but Robert Kubica shouldn't be in F1 anymore. Now, don't get me wrong, his comeback journey has been absolutely remarkable from that rally crash in 2011. And whilst Jacques was happy for Kubica calling it an unbelievable achievement, he then added to say it should not be possible for a driver with a disability to race in F1. Quote, "Formula 1 should be the pinnacle of racing. It's the king class. Then it is not good for the sport if anyone with a disability can participate, at least not in Formula 1, perhaps in other classes. Formula 1 must be tough, difficult and unreachable." Robert's return is not the right message. Oh. I think this one's right as well. Lewis Hamilton thinks he's Jesus. 2018 German Grand Prix was the pivotal race of the season as the balance of the championship went from Vettel to Hamilton over the course of the weekend. Hamilton's eventual win from 14th following qualifying issues was a brilliant drive, but Jacques thought Lewis's attitude around the whole weekend was very unusual. Quote, he confuses Formula 1 with Hollywood. Everything he does is staged. He portrays himself on social media like he is Jesus. The way he knelt down to his car after his problem in qualifying looked like the suffering of Christ. And what he said afterwards was the Sermon on the Mount. Then he gestured so dramatically on the podium that everyone could see who sent the sodden rain. You are bloody right, actually, Jacques. Sebastian Vettel hitting Lewis Hamilton was an accident. Bollocks, Jacques, that's rubbish. Drawing a safety car period in the 2017 Azerbaijan Grand Prix, Vettel thought Hamilton brake tested him. In a fit of red mist, he pulled alongside a Mercedes and gently bumped into him. Regardless of the speed, intentional contact is a huge deal, and even though Vettel got a stop-go penalty, the harshest penalty before disqualification, many thought the steward should have come down on him more severely. Not Jacques Villeneuve, though. He just thought it was an accident, a consequence of Vettel waving his arms around as well as ignoring the fact the FIA data proved Hamilton hadn't actually suddenly braked. Quote, whenever a driver did that to me, brake testing, then I would do whatever Seb did. He got a penalty, the biggest you could get, I guess, according to the new rules. I don't think he was trying to hit him. He had one hand on the wheel and was looking at him and pointing the finger. You don't hit with your wheels turned like that. You will break your own car out with one hand. You're going to hit someone. You have two hands on the wheel. Oh, God. But then he did say the move was not sportsmanlike, but good to see, which is rather contradictory. Well, Jacques, considering you got hit by Schumacher at the end of 1997, I'm a bit confused by that. But then this is the next sort of take. Jenson Button is a weak teammate. Well, when Jenson Button joined Jacques Villeneuve at BAR back in 2003, Jacques Villeneuve slammed him, saying, I will respect Jenson once he goes quick on a racetrack. Some drivers will be very fast but will be very weak mentally, then you do not respect them either. Human strength is probably more important to respect than pure speed. Then at Australia, there was an incident where Button claimed Villeneuve had deliberately blocked him in the pits, where of course the team had messed up a pit strategy. Jacques quoted saying, I was very highly disappointed to be blasted by my teammate in the media when I came out to the car. He was all smiley and shaking hands. I found that a little bit weak, but I guess that's what I have to cope with now. A weak teammate. I've been working my butt off for this team for the past 4 or 5 years, and then someone comes and blasts me for what wasn't under my control. That's a bit freaky. They did eventually made up, and Villeneuve said the feud was fueled by team management, but let's be honest, what the hell was he doing slagging off Button? Next up was, of course, the most recent event. Hamilton's driving helped Vettel get penalised in Canada. Vettel's 5-second penalty for an unsafe rejoin costing him a victory was one of the most controversial and widely divided penalties in F1 history, the argument being that Vettel was correcting a slide, not intentionally blocking his opponent. Many ex-drivers sympathise with Vettel, Jacques being one of them. However, he suggested Hamilton was aware of what was going on, that he deliberately placed his car in an awkward position on the outside so as to increase the likelihood of the Ferrari driver being penalised. Well, you know what it is. I know it sounds like a hot take, but, you know, it is true. Hamilton could have gone past Vettel's left-hand side, you know. But, of course, Hamilton decided to, well, I mean, you know what it is. I think Jacques might have a point. Quote, the guy behind knows this guy is in the grass. He'll probably get sideways. The chances are I'll be squished. Okay, I'll go for the inside. You know it. Lewis did the right thing. He managed to impose a penalty on Vettel. He's very good. Alright, well, I don't know why I'm laughing. And of course, this is a hot take from last year, is that he said that Kubica was trying to deliberately sabotage Williams. Sorokin got the nod to partner Stroll in 2018, leaving Kubica as the team's third and reserve driver. Villeneuve, though, felt that Robert is a driver who will develop his car the most, and it's possible he will consciously make it difficult for the other drivers. His dream is to race the car, not be the third driver. So I do not underestimate this point. In this situation, I would do exactly the same. I mean, oh jeez, Jack, you all full of shit. Thank you for listening to Crystal Racing. Please like and share and subscribe, and I'll see you again next time.